He was raised by immigrant parents in a diligent family that cherished custom, self-control, and fortitude, attributes that subsequently influenced his career path. However, his path to Hollywood was not a simple industry. Savalas personified the epitome of persistence, putting in a lot of employment, including being a member of the U.S. Army during the Second World War. Prior to seeking higher learning at Columbia University, he studied psychology there. His early entailed employment with the U.S. Stat Information Service of the department, and later discovered that he was fascinated talking and broadcasting, ultimately stepping onto the stage and screen in 1959. Telly Savalas was given his very first enter the field of professional acting when he made an appearance on a show that tanned at Armstrong Circle Theatre, Bring a Baby Home. This application, which broadcasts on the CBS network and gained notoriety for telling stories that have been dramatized based on actual occurrences, and it provided Savalas' ideal starting point for television. In his life at this point, Telly was still not well recognized, and the industry was fiercely competitive. But this first part demonstrated his innate personality and appearance on screen, attributes that would come to define his professional life. The opportunity signaled the start of a transition from small-scale TV jobs, turning into one of the most faces that stand out and are remarkable. This is where he initially started, learning the tempos and requirements of performing fourth lens, creating the type of discipline and self-assurance in one's career thought might benefit him during his prosperous career. Between 1959 until 1967, Savalas gradually created an impressive Olavian resume, making a guest appearance in a number of well-liked series of the period. Among them were grim urban dramas such as Naked City, Healthcare, and television shows like The 11th Breaking Point and Hour, and crime-focused programs such as The FBI, The Fugitive, and Untouchables. He made appearances in Western classics as well, like Fashionable, Espionage, and Bonan's Adventures. Similar to the Unheard guy, every presence gave him the opportunity to try experimenting with different characters, sorts, ranging from seasoned thieves to sophisticated sport parts, and demonstrated his capacity to draw attention even in restricted time spent on screens. In this time frame, Savalas refined his skills, discovering how to express charm, passion, and nuanced threat, attributes that would eventually turn into his signature. The range of roles additionally assisted him in developing connections with producers and directors, progressively creating a repute as a trustworthy and adaptable performer has the ability to elevate any project he came along. One of his early recurrent Savalas played parts in 77 Sunset Daughters, Brother Hendrickson, a stripper personality in the well-known private series of detective dramas, a mainstay of the late 1950s and television in the early 1960s that focused on two investigators with a sophisticated look Los Angeles crimes, combining tension, curiosity, and sporadic. In the role of Brother Hendrickson, Savalas to exhibit his capacity to strike a balance between subtlety and drama humorous timing, a talent that would subsequently strengthen his more intricate, bigger roles. Furthermore, he was featured in the NBC adventure series A Couple Co-Invested, Far-Flung Places, and Global Fascination, expanding his experience on screen and demonstrating that he might adjust to a variety of narrative techniques ranging from urban drama to adventure with an action focus. The Savalas' dedication to genuineness and his commitment to his work was remarkably likely when he assumed the position of Pontius Pilate in the epic of 1965 The Best Story Ever Told, which was helmed by renowned director George Stevens. For in this capacity, he bravely decided to shave his entire head, resulting in unique hairless appearance that would eventually become among his most famous trademarks. This choice showed not just his tangible dedication to his duties as well as a readiness to accept during aesthetic changes for the purpose of having genuine character. Portraying a crucial character, Pontius Pilate, in the account of the crucifixion of Jesus, demonstrated that Savalas' project authority, moral struggle, and gravity, enabling him to demonstrate his ability to manage well-known movie roles in addition to his work on television. His transformation was aided by this performance, from a TV personality to a well-respected appearance in popular films, indicating the beginning of his ascent to Hollywood stardom. So, acting career began when somewhat late in life, but after he entered the industry, his ascent was stable and striking. Early on, he was frequently cast in supporting roles throughout the 1960s. Character in television and movies, typically portraying a villain or being tough parts that emphasized his rich voice and a fixed gaze. His roles in movies like 1961's The Young Savages and 1962's Birdman of Alcatraz. He received an Academy Award for the latter. Best Supporting Actor nomination helped build his reputation as a serious performer. These parts demonstrated his capacity to add humanity and depth. Evento become morally complex or harder-to actors. Savalas kept broadening his scope in films from the decade with prominent roles in The Dirty Dozen, 1967, Unheard, and Kelly's Heroes, 19,701,969's Majesty's Secret Service 1. He played Ernst Stefaro, a legendary Roblofeld, one of the most famous James Bond character's enemies. However, television was what really created a household name for In 1973, he adopted the persona of the captivating police detective Theo Kojak of New York City in Kojak, the crime drama on CBS. The program, which ended in 1978 after 5 seasons, solidified his standing as a global star with his ubiquitous lollipop, fashionable attire and the slogan "Hollows You Sweetheart." Savalas produced a piece of the most enduring figures in American culture history of television. Kojak wasn't only amusing but also revolutionary in its realistic brutality and socially thoughtful narratives, addressing problems like drug misuse, dishonesty, and poverty. The part brought him both a Golden Globe and an Emmy, strengthening his standing as one of the most-renowned performers from his generation. Even following the show's conclusion, Savalas returned to part in a number of successful movies on television, demonstrating that the character was now an integral component of his heritage. In addition to performing, Telly Savalas was renowned for his adventures as well done in music. His soft, deep voice made he is an improbable recording star, had success in Europe thanks to his albums of singing and spoken speech, his Bread's rendition of If, given in his distinctive style, even making it to the top of the charts. In 1975 on the UK singles chart, proving the range of his popularity. Savalas have a special capacity for connection with viewers, not only via the on the screen, but by his voice, which had a warmth that was in contrast to his frequently tough on-screen character. In Telly Savalas married his lifelong partner in 1948. Girlfriend and love interest in college, Nicolaites Catherine. Their bond had its origins in their early years, as the two had known each other for a considerable amount of time prior to choosing to move into. This union was a reflection of social and cultural expectations of their period, emphasizing stability and thirst to start a family together following the early years of schooling and early adulthood. In spite of their powerful connection and common past, the marriage encountered obstacles that eventually could not be made whole, which results in their divorce in 1957 following almost 10 years. This initial encounter with separation and love probably had a significant effect on Savalas's individual growth and emotional fortitude, forming his opinions about relationships and family life in the ensuing years. Telly Savalas began his career in 1960. Marilyn Gardner, a second marriage partner, gifted theatrical instructor whose enthusiasm for education and the arts to be complemented Savalas' own developing passion for entertainment and performance. Their partnership resulted in the birth of 2 children, establishing a family atmosphere that blended imagination, self-control, and individual aspirations. The pair made their way through the demands of Savalas's burgeoning profession in Hollywood and acting, aiming to preserve equilibrium between public life and intimate family time. In spite of their mutual commitment and the delights brought by their kids, disparities as individual difficulties surfaced over time, eventually resulting in their separation in 1974. During this time in Savalas' life brought attention to the difficulties in managing a well-known job while fostering a family and proved his ability to live sincerely despite the situation proved challenging. Telly Savalas in 1984, Julie Haviland, his third wife, was married, beginning a new phase in his own life that is stable and renewed dedication. Together they had 2 kids, greater growing the function of Savalas as a parent and highlighting his commitment to his family in his later years. This union demonstrated a sophisticated view of collaboration based on mutual respect, experience, and common objectives. Haviland turned into a helpful present while Savalas carried on performing career, such as his renowned work on television while simultaneously offering a nourishing home setting for their kids. Their shared life demonstrated Savalas's persistent capacity to preserve deep connections and emphasize the development of his personal life, demonstrating development, perseverance in the quest for joy alongside a family he held in the highest regard. Telly Savalas at 72, the bigger-than actor famous for his recognizable Biography voice and brain, opened up an unremarkably open moment regarding the one Simeon who could actually get in touch with him on an degree of feeling. The only one was her who could harm me like that, Savalas adverted. His voice was a blend of devotion, fondness, and many were taken aback by the admission. Savalas's admirers during his career was frequently perceived as a tough, known and on-screen presence on television as well as she's renowned performance as Kojak and in numerous movies in which he appeared investigators or mobsters, but here he showed a more kind, more weak side, one that not many people possess had never before seen. The Lady Hamid reference to Stephanie Powers, talented actress with a bright charisma and a captivating personality, had clearly made a lasting impression on him. Savalas continued by outlining her distinct opacity to achieve his renowned stoic exterior. "No one else ever he was able to touch me in the same way as she did," stated, considering the uncommon emotional he was intimate with her. He remembered red events that emphasized her unique influence in his life, moments that were full of famous, unanticipated affection, and discussions that deeply affected him. Shifted in the case of Savalas, who spent decades displaying assurance and authority. Admitting that someone could have such a profound impact on him was both a disclosure and evidence of power on his thoughts and emotions. Additionally, he discussed in detail the intricacy of their connection, stressing that it wasn't simply sentimental or shallow, but based on sincere comprehension and courtesy, she was able to see through me. He acknowledged that she was aware of my putting up walls when I was acting rough as usual way, and still she didn't give up. She has the ability to make me feel fully observed and fully comprehended. For a man whose identity was characterized by these words, strength and independence, showed a unique weakness and recognition that in spite of his notoriety, honors and greater-than-life public recognition racked, there were times when he depended on interpersonal relationships to feel real. Additionally, Savalas' remarks alluded to a more general idea of closeness and confidence, especially in people's lives or ways in the spotlight. For actor who is surrounded by fans all the time, co-workers and admirers, locating someone who was actually able to cut through the armor he had constructed over many years was remarkable. It was more than just adoration or love, he thought. There was more to it. That gave me the impression that I could at last stop acting and just be Telly, the really me. Although brief, his confession was tremendous in meaning and language, providing a unique window into the sentimental realm of a Hollywood most powerful individuals. At last, the occasion carried a hint of bitter sweetness, an acknowledgement of the transient character of these uncommon relationships. While Savalas was speaking, there was a hint of longing in his voice, a recognition that these kinds of experience valuable, uncommon, and frequent. I doubt I'll ever get to meet anyone like her once more, he said. Nobody else could ever affect me in that way, Savalas disclosed in these little sentences, if not only an intimate fact about his relationship with Stephanie Powers, but moreover truth about love that is universal, vulnerability as well as the remarkable influence one individual can have on a lifetime. The death of Telly Savalas occurred on January 22, 1994, at 72 years old, following a protracted conflict with issues resulting from both prostate as well as bladder cancer. He passed away at the Universal Hotel, Sharon in California's Universal City is a location that had evolved into more than a short-term home for him. It served as his residence for the final 20 years of his life. Above over those 2 decades, Savalas emerged as an lasting impression at the hotel, visiting its social areas and bars so frequently that the establishment is respected. Renamed the pub Telly's in his honor, this tribute was a reflection of both his steady presence in addition to the warmth, charm, and a life-size personality character that won him over as a favorite by hotel employees, guests, and the numerous friends who would congregate there. This way, Sheraton turned into practically a Savalas' stage in his final years, where he kept his charisma and a household name due to his charisma via movies and television. After he passed away, Savalas was buried at the George Washington A portion of Hollywood Hills Forest Lawn Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. This graveyard is well known for the last resting place for many stars of the heyday of Hollywood, and Savalas' presence there demonstrates his prominence in the entertainment industry. His funeral was an extremely intimate and middle event hosted at the St. Sophia. The Greek Orthodox Church is a place where he highlighted how proud Savalas was of his Greek ancestry and his enduring relationship with Orthodox Christianity in Greece. In attendance at the Julie, his third wife, attended the funeral. Had spent the last 10 years of his life together. In addition to his brother Gus, offering family assistance and respecting the relationship all their lives, they had shared the initial 2 spouses of Savalas. Catherine and Marilyn went to the service as well, with their individual children, indicating the permanent relations he had with his extended family, in spite of previous separations.